Yesterday, US Weekly broke the news that Nicki Minaj's house is at risk of being seized due to a lawsuit.
Under Trump's rules, she should be deported because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented.
Nicki Minaj really wakes up every day and somehow finds new ways to embarrass herself. Things just keep spiraling after that so-called humiliation ritual. At AmFest with Erica Kirk, she thought she was about to roast Don Lemon. But once again, she ended up clowning herself instead. Because when the real story leaked, it turned out this wasn't even about Don Lemon at all. It's about the money. Allegedly. Word is, Nicki's been snapping at everyone because the checks just aren't hitting like they used to. And people are saying one big reason for that is her choice to stand by her husband, Kenneth Petty, who's got a serious record. It's wild because she almost lost her house over that man. Reports say she had to cough up a jaw-dropping $500,000 just to keep her home from slipping away. But instead of treating that like a wake-up call, Nicki stayed online doing the absolute most. That's when DL Hughley had to step in and remind her, "Girl, you've got bigger problems than Don Lemon. Like your husband, who legally can't even be near a school or playground and might be out here running through the money you worked so hard for. It's messy, it's chaotic, and honestly, it's looking bad for her reputation right now." Nicki's fans were out here celebrating that $500,000 settlement like it was some kind of win, just because she didn't lose the house. But come on, imagine having to drop $500,000 because your husband can't handle his own legal mess. Kenneth does the crime and Nicki pays the dime. That's embarrassing. And now word is she's linking up with Erica Kirk and dipping into MAGA money just to help clean up her husband's debt. That's some nasty business for real. It's honestly sad to see someone like Nicki fumble her legacy like this. She was on top of the game and now it's giving desperate energy. Still, DL Hughley isn't feeling bad for her one bit. He's saying Nicki doesn't deserve sympathy because she made her choices. She's the one who decided to stand beside people who protect offenders, and now it's all catching up to her. Now let's break down this whole house drama because it's a wild one. Back in 2024, Nicki got hit with a default judgment for about $500,000, all tied to a lawsuit involving Kenneth. And it all traces back to a messy 2019 incident in Germany while she was on tour. Apparently, Nicki got into it with a female security guard, and Kenneth decided to jump in. He ended up hitting a male guard who tried to break it up, a guy named Thomas Weidenmuller. According to the lawsuit, Thomas stepped in to calm things down, but things went left fast when Nicki allegedly told Kenneth to handle him. Then Kenneth came from the side and sucker punched the man, breaking his jaw. Can you believe that? And to make it worse, the lawsuit named both Nicki and Kenneth, but they didn't even bother responding. They just left Germany after police issued an arrest warrant for Kenneth.
Nicki Minaj's brother and his attorneys thought he would be walking out of court a free man today. Jelani Mirage was convicted last November of repeatedly raping an 11-year-old girl.
Like nothing happened. Since Nicki and Kenneth didn't bother to show up or even respond, the court had no choice but to rule against them automatically. That's when things really started falling apart. Even after the judgment was entered, they still ignored it like it was no big deal. And the money never got paid. So the security guard took it back to court, asking the judge to step in and force that payment. He specifically requested that Nicki's Hidden Hills mansion be sold to cover the debt. Why, and get this, the judge was seriously considering it because there was enough equity in that house to pay the full amount. But here's the twist. Just one day before the sale could officially go through, Nicki suddenly came up with the money and dropped the full $500,000 to stop the auction. Talk about cutting it close. So no, this wasn't some grand win like her fans made it out to be. Sure, she kept her house, but barely. The fact that she had to scramble at the very last second just to keep a roof over her head is honestly humiliating. Imagine having to pay $500,000 for something you didn't even do, all because your husband, who's already a registered offender, couldn't keep his hands to himself. That alone should have been a wake-up call for Nicki. But nope, instead of sitting down and checking her situation, she took all that frustration and started aiming it at Don Lemon like he was the problem. It's giving misplaced anger, and it's making her look more chaotic than ever. Here's how it all went down. It kicked off when Don Lemon shared live coverage from Minnesota, where a wild protest against ICE broke out inside a church. But the key detail a lot of people missed? Those protesters weren't just there to cause chaos. One of the church's pastors, David Easterwood, was actually serving as the acting director of ICE's St. Paul field office. That's why they targeted that specific church. So Don Lemon was simply there doing his job, reporting live, breaking down what was happening, and covering the story like any journalist would. But before anyone could even process what was going on, Nicki jumped in out of nowhere and made it about herself. She didn't check the facts, didn't watch the full coverage. She just saw protest inside a church and immediately lost it online. Nicki started dragging Don Lemon across social media and even used harsh language toward him. She went as far as posting a photo of a Chucky doll with the caption, "Don C. sucking lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up." It was a full-blown meltdown. Clearly, Nicki didn't understand the real context. She saw church walls and instantly acted like she was leading some crusade to defend Christianity. Let's be real. Nobody's falling for this so-called Christian rebrand Nicki's been pushing. Just like a lot of MAGA influencers, she doesn't even practice what she preaches. Don Lemon wasn't having it either. He clapped back fast.
So you can see the protesters here have gathered over here. They're in the middle of the church. So in the beginning of the church service, the pastor was speaking, and Nicki stood up and said her piece, and then the protesters surrounded her. But this is a clandestine mission. I think they found out according to them, this is according to Operation Pull-Up, that one of the pastors here is a member, and so here we go.
In a statement to TMZ, Don said, "I'm not surprised. Nicki Minaj does not understand journalism and is weighing in on matters that are above her capacity. However, the more appropriate image for her post is a pick-me doll. That was shade with precision. And when Nicki started calling for Don to be locked up, he doubled down in a video response, firing back that Nicki needs to worry about her own legal status because she is, in fact, an undocumented immigrant. Whew, that hit hard. Don basically turned the spotlight right back on her, and people online were stunned. Now, whether you like Don Lemon or not, Nicki's hypocrisy here is wild. It's embarrassing watching her flip the narrative when her own history contradicts everything she's preaching. For those who don't know, Nicki was actually born in Trinidad and Tobago, and she's openly talked about her undocumented status before. Back in 2018, when she was criticizing the Trump administration's family separation policy, she even shared a heartfelt message saying, "I came to this country as an illegal immigrant at 5 years old. I can't imagine the horror of being in a strange place and having my parents stripped away from me at the age of 5. This is so scary to me. Please stop." Can you try to imagine the terror and panic these kids feel right now?
You don't need to worry about Don. She need to be with damn Don Lemon, and Nicki Minaj need to be worried about Chris Hansen.
It's emotional. It's real. But now, seeing her align with people she once spoke against just makes her look completely lost. Fast forward to now, and this same Nicki Minaj is out here cozying up to MAGA, calling Trump handsome and dashing. It's wild. People are side-eyeing her hard and asking the real question. How broke is Nicki that she's suddenly pandering to that crowd? Or did she actually lose touch with reality altogether? Because this switch-up feels straight out of left field. Meanwhile, DL Hughley says none of this should shock anyone. According to him, Nicki fits right in with the MAGA circle. And he's not just talking politics. He pointed out that she's always defended people with criminal pasts in her own family and still stands behind them no matter what. Not Chris Hansen calling this out, but DL's got a point. It's not just her husband, Kenneth Petty. The situation runs way deeper than that. People seem to forget that way before Kenneth came into the picture. Nicki publicly supported her brother, DL Hughley, who was sentenced to 25 years to life for a horrific crime involving his 11-year-old stepdaughter. The court found actual DNA evidence tying him to it, so this wasn't some rumor. It was proven in court. And even then, Nicki still tried to back him up. She even wrote a letter to the judge begging for leniency, saying, "Jelani is the most patient, gentle, genuine, giving, selfless man." That's a bold thing to say, especially when the evidence said otherwise. It's no wonder people are questioning her morals now. She keeps defending the indefensible, and it's dragging her entire image down. At this point, Nicki knows exactly what she's doing. So maybe this is who she's always been, and now she's just finally letting the mask slip. It's got people wondering if this is the real Nicki Minaj we're seeing, not the polished superstar, but the version that doesn't care how messy it looks as long as the spotlight stays on her. So what do you think? Do you agree with DL Hughley that Nicki's got way bigger problems to deal with than worrying about Don Lemon? And what's your take on her going full-on MAGA? Is it just a desperate move because her husband's running through her money and the hits aren't hitting anymore? Or is this really who she is deep down? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates and drama breakdowns.